Prabhat was very kind enough to send me it last night, and I thought it would be a useful place to start because what I have to say follows on very naturally from what you've just heard. In a way, I'm going to contradict what Prabhat just said. I'm going to tell you that it is possible to live a lot longer than what Canada's longevity survival situation is right now. However, I'm not going to tell you that it's possible before 2030. I think that it's only going to be possible as a result of the development of medicines that are currently mostly in a rather early stage of development, but still which will transform health as we know it today, not only in countries at the level of India and China and Brazil and so on, but in every country in the world. And these medicines are medicines that will be developed as a result of a global effort. I believe that India can play a huge role in the development of these medicines, and even though I only have 5 minutes, I'm going to try to tell you why. One thing, I want to point out a few aspects of these curves that Prabhat has shown here that are perhaps indicative of what I'm saying here. First of all, we can see that in India and in countries of similar economic status, the progress against early life mortality, even though it still has some way to go, has been enormous as a proportion of what was necessary 100, 200 years ago. Even in the wealthiest countries in the world, more than 30% of deaths in these countries occurred before the age of 1. It's now down well below 10% in India, as you can see here. But also I want to draw your attention to the age range that Prabhat spoke about and that he works on, between 30 and 70. As you can see, there is a lot more death in India in that range than there is in Canada. But look at the distribution within that range. The number of deaths between 50 and 70 is far more in both countries than between 30 and 50. So it's still happening as a result of aging in one way or another. And that is what I and my foundation, SENS Research Foundation, works on. As you can see, these curves converge as we get to older ages, 80 and 90 and so on. In other words, we are seeing that even in the wealthiest countries, there is very little progress so far in pushing forward the health of the elderly, and in other words, postponing the ill health of the elderly. Now, most people will say that this is the reason why, that there's so much that goes wrong with you when you get to be 80 or 90, that it's just too complicated. There's too many things that go wrong, and they exacerbate each other. But actually, that's not the main reason why we have this problem, why medicine has been so much less successful in combating the diseases of old age. This is the main reason. Aging is a side effect of being alive. Metabolism, that means simply everything that the body does to keep us alive from one day to the next throughout life. Metabolism creates damage in the body in just the same way that using a car or an aeroplane or any other simple man-made machine creates damage as a side effect of the machine's normal operation. And again, just like simple machines, the body is set up to tolerate a certain amount of damage, but eventually there's too much and we start to go downhill. We start to exhibit pathologies. Now, what this means in terms of disease classification and how we might combat disease can be seen on this table. There are things which can genuinely be called diseases. Infections, such as those things in column 1, and genetic diseases that some of us inherit, things in column 2. But then there are the things in column 3, and there's a huge problem throughout the world in people's understanding of and their attitude to the things in column 3. Most people think of them as rather similar to column 1. They think of them as like infections, things that can be cured. It's nonsense. They're actually part of column 4. They're part of aging. The reason why they mainly affect people who were born a long time ago is because they are the side effect of accumulating damage. So we are fixing that. And we are fixing it in exactly the same way that we already successfully fix the damage in simple man-made machines and thereby keep them going far longer than they were designed to, like vintage cars that last 100 years when they were only designed to last 10 years. We are splitting the problem up into these 7 sub-problems that are listed on the left. We are working on all of the things on the right, which are ways not simply to slow down the accumulation of that damage, but actually to repair the damage and thereby postpone the ill health of old age. Many of these areas of research are still at an early stage, and that's why SENS Research Foundation exists. But we believe that within the 20 years that Prabhat spoke about, it will be possible, with high probability, to develop these medicines to a point where they can be delivered across the world and thereby help not only India to catch up with Canada, but all countries to go far beyond there in terms of the maintenance of true good health, the elimination, not just postponement, but the elimination of all of the diseases of old age that are so important in the West already and are becoming more and more important in India as you succeed in postponing the ill health of early adulthood. I will just stop there. Thank you very much.